All right, this is Video Dave.
This is Controller 7.
You're listening to Cabbages. You're probably not watching the movies that we watched, but you're listening to them. And we're doing you a favor. This is a gift that we do for you. We subject ourselves to this for you.
Yeah, save your $11. Don't buy the Blu-ray.
Gary Ice! Nothing's cooler than ice! Gary, you know what we have to do.
I know, Jeff. I know.
You know what we have to do.
Yeah.
You want to lead us out of the gate?
This is a Cabbage's warning. Do not watch this movie.
Do not watch this movie.
Do not watch Cool as Ice.
Please do not waste your time on this fucking garbage hole movie, please.
Do not do what we did to ourselves and to two very fine guests.
We love them and we are sad at what we did and we're sorry to them.
Do not watch Cool as Ice. We made these people watch this. They just put out a terrific album, Articulated Textiles. You should absolutely go see Video Dave and Controller 7. Do not spend a dime of your money watching this movie.
Do not watch this film.
Put this money towards their record. I can't apologize enough to Video Dave and Controller 7. So
do not watch this movie.
Do not watch this movie. Do not subject yourself to this film. You know, if you are a listener to this show, that when we issue a warning like this, we 100%
we really mean it. I mean
this is not enticement. This is not us trying to say, oh, no, don't watch it. No, do not watch Cool as Ice.
No.
That being said, enjoy the show. I am excited to introduce our guests for today's show. Joining us now are Video Dave and Controller 7. The former is a rapper producer with releases on Open Mike Eagle's Auto Reverse label, who also frequently tours with him, while the latter producer has credits with artists such as Sage Francis, and Buck65. Together, they recently dropped the album Articulated Textiles, available on Bandcamp and wherever music is streamed or sold. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, what's happening?
There's a lot to discuss, but I would love for us to just take a moment to reflect on the following.
Mm-hmm.
When a girl has a heart of stone, there's only one way to melt it. Just add ice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm laughing at Dave's shaking his head.
Yeah. What does that phrase mean to you guys? Because it doesn't mean anything to me.
That phrase means somebody got a paycheck that didn't deserve. That was the writer's room, and they were like, that's the one. And none of them, they all should have been fired.
It defies physics.
You know,
when does ice
I'm going
melt
to compare
anything?
this to the 2023 New York Metropolitans.
Oh, God. Okay.
Where there's a gigantic groundswell of people that want to fire the manager and or the GM, everybody, because they're not good. But like, if you're going to be bad, why are you going to pay two managers to be bad? Like, I think they hired a bunch of people that had no idea what they were doing to make a movie they didn't really understand they were making. And that, you know, at some point you just look at it and go, hey, schlinger schlong, what can you do?
Oh, you're jumping right into Schlinger Schlong. Just jump right into possibly the wildest line of the entire film. Where are you going? Across the street to schling a schlong.
What is that? What does that mean, do you think?
Sometimes when a man and a woman love each other very much.
Or run over each other with horses and motorcycles.
There is so much to unpack with this, but before we get into the details of this movie, I think it's probably worthwhile just to talk about our respective experiences and understanding of Vanilla Ice. We are all men of a certain age. I think we all can sort of say generationally we were there when this all was happening, whether or not we have it. But I just love to know from like your perspective, your experience. Tommy, let's start with you. Like, I think just let's get an understanding kind of what your experience or understanding of Vanilla Ice was back then and kind of your perspective now.
I think I was in 6th grade when he blew up. So I was prime prime audience. It was definitely big in middle school. I don't remember at first it wasn't corny. Like I remember people thinking it was cool, but in sixth grade I did not have cool rap friends, so I
Nice.
don't know. But it seemed like he was cool, and I remember people talking about the video. But it was huge in sixth grade. Like definitely like playing at dances and people the Kasingle. It was the Kasingle days, and the Kasingle was
yeah.
huge.
Did you own the Kasingle or the album To the Extreme?
I did not own either. I think I was smart enough to know I was hesitant. And my brother owned the Kasingle. And he may have had the tape too. I can't say I've ever heard the full album. I don't think I know that besides and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle song, the Ninja Rap.
Oh, sure.
I don't think I know any other songs except for the ones in this movie,
which are not on To the Extreme. These were separate songs that were made for this film. There's about 4 Vanilla Ice originals that make it into the movie. So, and each of them gets its own music video, which we will certainly be talking about over the course of this. Dave, what was your sort of experience with an understanding of Vanilla Ice back then?
I mean, I feel like it was 5th or 6th, probably 6th grade for me, when Vanilla Ice and also MC Hammer were really doing their thing. And if I said to y'all that I didn't love Ice Ice Baby, like if I was to say that, I'd be lying. It was the jam. It was on the radio. That's where I got my music those days. And I loved that song. And there was some hesitation, but I loved it. And then I heard Play That Funky Music, White Boy. And I was questioning. I was like, wait a minute. And then I never heard the album. And then I was very excited for that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles second movie. I saw that trailer. And I said, oh, no. And I'm very proud of myself that it didn't fool me. I was enough of a fan. I had my reservations, but I liked what I heard before, and I really liked the movie. And I saw that trailer, and I immediately said to myself, "Oh hell no, that's corny." So I'm proud of myself for that because I never heard the rest of the album. I never even, I never gave him a chance after I saw that trailer. I knew right there. I saw that ninja rap, and I was like, oh no. So that's how I felt about that guy.
Jeff, what about
you? Similar story. What would I have been, 9 when that came out? 90? It came out in 90?
Yeah, 90, late 90. September 90 was when the album came out.
Yeah, so literally I was turning 9 when this came out. So hit me with Ninja Rap at like 10 years old. Excellent song. Total bop. I also just what a fucking jam. It was about ninjas and rap, 2 things that I had nascently discovered I was really into. Did I make up a word to probably?
No, that you used it probably. I just knew that it was wrong. I liked him. I liked ninjas. I just knew it was wrong once I heard it.
But like both of you and possibly Gary, we haven't heard about Gary yet. But like both of you, guaranteed I never heard all of To the Extreme. To this day, I've never heard To the Extreme in its full. And I think you'd be hard pressed. I think all of the sales came from that song being as big as it was.
Yeah.
And then it was the trial. Well, I guess not really a trial, but the lawsuit that sort of hipped me to the game that like that guy sucks.
See, I didn't know anything about sampling. So the sampling didn't bother me as a thing. It was like, I got it that it was kind of corny. Like just understanding what they were saying. I was like, oh, I see why that's a problem. It didn't bother me in the least. It really wasn't until I saw that trailer that I knew. There's something about that.
I hear you. That was my introduction to sampling. I learned what sampling was from
that
Bowie, like suing him. And I was like, wait a minute, these are samples. And my dad from the other room was like, that's why I keep telling you that they're stealing our music. That was pretty incredible.
Oh,
he was like,
Dad.
this is it. This is the one I was talking about. You didn't believe me, and you started yelling.
Now it's on TV.
And that's how
don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I trusted it more than my father, of course. TV lied all the time. My dad was kind of trying to tell me the truth. We don't want that. So I never owned that tape, but I owned Third Base, Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff jams. I own some like Happy Rap for sure, Crisscross. But I never owned any Vanilla Ice as far as I can remember. But I know that I liked it. I know that I did. I remember the words to the big single.
Ice Baby. I still know
I
that
know
one.
it.
Yeah.
I know
could
it
still
backwards
recite
and forwards. And I've forgotten,
Yeah.
I've been going all these hip hop 50s in the city. And I'm like, oh my God, I've forgotten the lyrics to every one of these fucking songs. Jesus. I used to know them backwards and forwards. But for some reason, to
know
the
that.
extreme.
He did something there. He did something there, man.
He did.
That Ice Baby joint, he did something there. He caught a wave, he caught a vibe, and he did something. And I could talk shit about the guy all day, but I'll give him his credit for that one. He found a pocket, he rode that shit out.
Yeah.
For that 3.5 minutes.
And I think when we get into the actual discussion of this movie, there is plenty of criticism and critique to offer there. I will.
Are you sure?
I'm going to relay. Don't Tim Robinson me right now. The fucking zip line. I'm going to go full disclosure here. I could not have been a bigger Ninja Turtles fan in 1990.
Hell yeah.
Than I was. There was no way. I was a huge fan of the first film, and I loved the soundtrack to the first film. You've got Ya Kid K, you've got MC Hammer. I was fucking hooked. I had MC Hammer's album, and I had To the Extreme. I had that. I have listened to that record.
You own the record.
I did own the record, and I heard it many times.
They should put you in a museum.
So-called pop rap was something that absolutely appealed to my brain, because I couldn't, at that time in my brain, I was not distinguishing between pop rap and all the other things I was hearing here in New York.
Yeah.
When I grew up in Queens, I was hearing everything. So I heard De La Soul and I heard Vanilla Ice, and I was going like, well, that guy samples this and that guy samples that. Like, I recognize, because I listen to a lot of classic rock radio and my parents' record collection. So I was picking up on some of the things. It really wasn't, I think, until I heard and saw the video for Pop Goes the Weasel, where Henry Rollins plays a parody of Vanilla Ice, and there's very direct lines about it, that I sort of said, okay, maybe I need to be more discerning here. Maybe I've been tricked about that. Maybe this
third base taught a lot of us that we were fucking up, that we were being controlled by bad rap.
Yeah, Jim Carrey making fun of him on what's it called? In Living Color.
In Living Color,
yes.
Also informed to me.
It was like, oh, what? Like that was. Because I had the feeling, I was like, wait, this is corny. And then Jim Carrey clowned him, and I was like, oh, yeah, I knew it. I knew it was corny.
And the Far Side were the backup dancers in that skit.
It's so awesome. It's crazy. That's crazy. I had no idea about that. That's amazing.
The arc from Ice Ice Baby becoming like a rap zenith to him on MTV smashing the master copy of the Ice Ice Baby video, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, pause, go back, watch the video of him. He releases Demons.
Yeah,
that show never counted on.
I mean, that's like 10 years or so later, right? That's like 10 years or so later.
And he's trying to do the heavy rap rock, hard rock reintroduction. He's in a hard rock band at that point.
And that's like the third iteration since then.
I'm just like, for some reason in my mind, I started singing along to myself to the beginning of that. Did he say stop, collaborate, and listen? Those are the words, right?
Yeah, that's the beginning.
What, collaborate with who? What do you collaborate? It doesn't collaborate with who?
The lyrics are nonsense.
I think he wants you to collaborate with him. Like, please come into the hearth of my fires. Come and be fibrous in my skin with me.
I think that was Jim Jones's pitch back in with the Kool-Aid.
I've never tried to break this song down all these years.
It's a pain in the ass.
Collaborate with who? What does that even mean?
And
Iron's back with a brand new invention, which not also untrue. This is not your invention, Vanilla Ice.
No, he did not invent any of this. No. He was in the shadow of giants.
For sure.
From Shakespeare to the people that wrote his music. He was in all of their
Shakespeare to Earthquake. Everybody is in that. But I want to point out that, like, as high of heights as he reached, like, he had the #1 album for 16 weeks in the US. Like
16 weeks, and that's when records sold.
16 weeks at #1 at record, selling actual physical copies on CD. and cassette. I want to
I'm
point
so
out.
glad I didn't have a job. I'm so glad I didn't have a job because I didn't contribute to that shit, but I would have.
Real.
The decline from there is extraordinary, and this movie is one of the indicative things. So that was all 1990. He's opening for MC Hammer on tour. He's dating Madonna. Then comes 1991. So 1991,
The year punk broke.
Jesus fuck. Ninja Turtles 2 comes out that March. He has been exposed in the press, locally in Dallas and also nationally, for a fake bio that his label wrote about his background, saying he went to school with Luther Campbell, which he did not in Miami, and a lot of other things that they made up about him. They had to quietly retract. Then he goes on the Arsenio Hall show. Have any of you seen this amazing clip of him on the Arsenio Hall show?
Oh,
Yes, I have.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
When I think about Arsenio Hall, I don't, in those days, and when I've watched that and when I've watched clips since, he's not exactly like the hard-hitting interviewer. He's an entertaining interviewer, and he engages with these guests probably better than a lot of other folks.
Yeah, he didn't do this to wrestlers or anything.
But he tore Arsenio
Eviscerated.
Hall tore Vanilla Ice apart, because Vanilla Ice brought out Flavor Flav at the beginning, and immediately afterwards, like basically for a hug, and immediately afterwards, Arsenio is saying, "Oh, are you trying to show us that you have black friends, that you know black people? Like, is this
Which, by the way, was likely the idea of someone that, like, someone
exactly
in
what
his
he's
circle
doing.
was like, you need to like hug a black person when you walk out.
Yeah,
Right.
live
Because they're not gonna like you."
So Arsenio eviscerates him over the course of the interview, like calls out the bullshit of the bio, calls out like stuff that like right now is very much in our consciousness, about talking about things like appropriation and how white rappers get into these spaces, and you get the popularity, and there's a question about like where advantages exist, due to white privilege. Back then, these weren't discussions that we're having on that wide level. And here he was being destroyed. It's a beautiful clip. Again, I encourage everyone to watch it. There's the third base video for Pop Goes the Weasel, as I talked about before. There was a As Told To biography, which we'll take that as you will. And then there is Cool as Ice.
Let me look, fair or not, whatever happened to him, whether or not it was fair aside, all of rap essentially said, not him.
Yeah.
This was a rap born attack.
Is Cool as Ice kind of like the last big, I can't say I'm familiar, and I didn't do the research, but is it like the last project before, does it end things for him?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't the reviews to this that did it. It was like, the entirety of the rap community shitting on him collectively. Yeah. And then this came out, and I don't want to give it away. Maybe you guys loved it, but it sucked and it bombed.
Is the movie
and this was like the final nail, like he was buried after that.
Timeline wise, the movie comes out after like Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yes, it comes out after Pop Goes the Weasel. It comes out. Yeah. It comes out after Ninja Turtles 2. It comes out in October of 1991, and I have to just point out a couple of things about that time period. So it comes out, and it's opening week. It comes in at number 14 on the charts. It comes.
They
in
weren't
at number
making that many
14.
movies back then.
No, which is, and I want to point out that is it made about $638,000 in that opening weekend, and it came in at number 14, but 9 spots behind. It was that movie, Cool as Ice, was 9 spots behind another new movie that was out called Ernest Scared Stupid,
and rightfully so. Ernest was a gift to this earth for the most part.
Ernest P.
You know what I mean, Vern? That's hilarious.
His Halloween version of the Ernest.
Wait, yeah, the Ernest Halloween movie.
Yes,
that's tough.
Yeah, so it did.
I'll tell you what.
You know what I mean, Vern?
I had seen that movie and had never seen Cool as Ice. I'll say that much.
Had any of you seen this?
I'd much rather.
Any of you seen this?
I'd much rather watch all the Ernest movies.
Absolutely.
I'd
Well,
never.
Yeah.
maybe not
Not
all
all,
of them.
not all of them, sir.
I don't know.
Not
I
all
don't
of
know
them.
that I'm going to watch Ernest in Africa again. That's that might be out.
Ernest in
Just-
Africa is not the way.
We like to believe that didn't happen, but it did.
No, I mean that was when he was pure deep TV.
Wow.
I'd seen
Had
Didn't
any-
know, and
but
now,
none of you
now
had
I
seen
wanna
this?
know more.
I'd
But
seen
none
it
of you
at
seen
some.
Bullseyes.
Brutal.
I've seen it at some point because I remember watching it at a friend's house,
Mm.
probably when I was like later teens, so probably like 16 or 17 or something like that. And so it was more like as a joke type thing, you know, like let's watch
Yeah.
this. And the only part I really remembered was the dad from Family Ties. Like he comes to the door and the dad answers, and then he said something really stupid in response to him. And that part just stuck in my mind. That was the only thing I could remember. And so to be honest, I went into this like semi-hopeful. I was like, maybe it's kind of funny. And when I went to see where I could watch it, where I could stream it, it wasn't on that many places. It wasn't anywhere for free. The only thing for free was Amazon had one of those like commentary ones. So it was like someone talking over the whole thing, which I didn't watch.
The riff tracks.
So, and I'm one of those people that I am of a certain age that like renting digital things or buying digital things still feels sort of weird to me. I've gotten used to it, but so I saw that it was like $11 for the Blu-ray on Amazon. I was like, well, then I can watch it whenever like because we planned this a while back. I was like, I don't know when I'll
bought
get
the
to
film. You bought the
I
film
don't
on
know.
Blu. There's a Blu-ray.
There's a Blu-ray,
Right,
and
there's a Blu-ray.
Do
I
you
was like,
think
I
the
don't-
picture quality is like so much better than what like I watched? Do you think you're better than me? That's what I'm asking.
I do think I'm better than
You
you because I
should.
watched it on
You
Blu-ray.
absolutely should. You're right to do it.
What a fucking move! What a
Wow.
baller fucking
No
move.
one's
Wow.
ever bought the movie like that for this podcast.
And
It
on
was-
Blu-ray.
It was, I think it was $4 to rent it or something, and it was 11
Yeah.
for the Blu-ray. So I just went big. I went all in.
Are there any bonus materials on there? Is there any additional is there a director's comment? I mean, I think the director just owned this film, so probably there's no director's commentary. But are there
So,
anything extra?
Audio commentary by film historians Alexandra Heller Nicholas and Josh Nelson, and the theatrical trailer. That's all you get.
Okay. All right.
We should enter a tontine right now. The last one of us alive gets the film. It's the Blu-ray.
I'm going to throw myself from a bridge
You got to
tonight.
lock it up in a vault. We all have a key, and we got to open it up together if it ever comes out and sees the light of day.
My word.
That keeps it out of public consumption and makes it more interesting.
I mean, I was hopeful, and it fell apart fast.
When did it fall? Give me a
Yeah, when did
minute
you
range,
realize
or
it
was
off?
there an exact moment you were like, "What the fuck?
Well,
Why?"
My favorite part of the whole movie is not the first scene, because that's that long rapping with Naomi Campbell.
Mhm.
Amazing, also amazing. Got Naomi
Amazing.
Campbell.
Naomi Campbell's
is
in this
the-
film.
She's the very first person in the whole movie. It's just a flash of her singing. Very long song too.
5.5 minutes. 5.5 minutes.
It's like 3 verses, and they're all different topics. Like one is like killing MCs, one is the hey lady step to me. And I had the subtitles on, and his rapping is so bad. He's basically he's not even a 2-bar person. Like everything is like a bar. The next part doesn't even really relate to it. It's just line after line after line after line. I'd never really comprehended how bad at rapping he was until I read it all. But it's really bad. Like there's not even anything sort of like fun redeeming about it. It's like someone told him like how rap worked, and that's how it happened.
And he made an approximation.
Approximately. The whole thing felt the movie felt like people that didn't really know how to do things got to do it. Like
there it is. I was gonna say it's indicative of the plot. It's indicative of the shots. It's indicative of the choices made. Is that like it's sort of you can't blame AI. It's 1990, but this is what AI would spit out if you went to an AI thing and said, "Write me a film about Vanilla Ice being a Mac Daddy and riding around on motorcycles and cram a scene at the very beginning where you introduce the idea of black people and then don't really deliver on it very much." Can you do that? And it would spit this out. It would absolutely spit this out. And then you'd be like, oh, give me a soundtrack. And it would spit that out.
There's not a whole lot about the entire movie that makes any sense.
No.
But my favorite part, so after the song, my favorite part is it's nighttime. They're riding their motorcycles in formation, like they're the Blue Angels, like they do the like 4 sideways. And so it's nighttime, but in a matter of like 30 seconds, it turns to day while they're riding. Yes. So it changes a variety of tones, but just in time when they get to the stables, it turns to completely day. But my favorite part is he says to his friend something like, "Hey, yo, come here." And he has the guy ride up and they ride side by side. And then he says nothing. It's just a weird pause.
Nothing.
And then the friend randomly says, what did he say? "Hey, yo, peep that out." And he points at the girl riding the horse.
Right.
And then he does
it's unhinged what happens.
No, please do it. Say it.
So he accelerates and he jumps the horse fence with no ramp, anything. He just launches in the air, which is very much like another one of my favorites of this time, Gleaming the Cube.
Oh yeah, sure.
At the end he jumps like the LA River off of one of the little freeway dividers. But so he jumped, but my favorite part about it is he jumps the fence and it's so loud. There's like a thunderous noise. There's engines revving, crashing sound, and he knocks the horse over and knocks her off the horse. And he he goes to see if she's okay, and he says, he said, "Damn, what the hell's wrong with you?" Like he just jumped a fence, knocked her off her horse, and she's
mad because he's getting tooed.
She punches him in the chest, and he says that line.
Got off light.
And then anybody is sitting there thinking, going like, you could have crippled or killed this woman to be thrown from a horse. She was wearing
that shit crippled Superman.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He's just regular high school student.
Fucking no joke. We mentioned Christopher Reeve by name in that moment. I was watching with my wife, who had a lot of opinions about this movie.
Oh man, I'd love a separate episode where she gives us the opinions.
I invited her on like 3 times. He is not doing this. But it was extraordinary because I read an interview. Vanilla Ice did all his own motorcycle stunts in this movie, including jumping that fence.
How believable is that?
Jumping the car. Vanilla Ice claims having been a motocross guy in terms of, I guess.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
Motocross guy. Him being a motocross guy. That's his motorcycle. The motorcycle in that movie is his motorcycle.
All right.
The one that's worth more than the mechanic's house.
Yeah. Well, yes, exactly.
That's all. That's like
I choose.
That's pretty much all we know about him. Is that his bike is really nice. I
believe it. I feel like I do remember something about dirt bikes and that. Like, you know, I don't believe anything about him, but I believe that he used to ride motorcycles. He has to do something.
Yeah.
He obviously wasn't in his room rapping all the time. So yeah, he's out there riding motorcycles.
There's no book of rhymes. He's out there on the bike.
The thing that I loved about the the reason I mentioned the noise was because later in the movie there's another jump and it's silent. It's like it does a very smooth, gentle. He jumps with her later, like to the end of the movie,
over the
and it
car,
does
over the jerk boyfriend's car.
like oh yeah, which would seem to be the noisy one of the two, but the when he's jumping into the horse stable, it's the most disruptive entrance ever.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's also
It's
like
just
that,
weird.
the sound dynamics are off, and that definitely speaks to sort of what's happening here. Like there's one more like jump, which happens when they crash through that Habitat for Humanity house. The two character actors have this kid in the house tied up. And then they say, like, did you hear that? And there's nothing to be heard. There's no sound.
Nothing.
There's nothing. Did you hear that? Hear what? That. Did you hear that? And then suddenly a roar of motorcycle through house wall.
After they made the point throughout the movie to show like how loud and obnoxious this motorcycle really is.
Well, they shocked the neighborhood, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Golly. I decided from the very beginning, after the 5.5-minute montage, and they're driving on this main street, I'm like, oh, this is camp. This is camp. So suspend all your feelings about what a movie
absolutely
should be and what people,
and
what
still,
human
it
beings
still
would
sucks,
do.
but I did the same.
But right away, it's camp. Obviously, there are these connections to sort of the Elvis movies. He had a lot of Elvis comparisons, negatively, mostly over the years, for basically appropriating genre. But there are a lot of Elvis things, and they basically were like, well, if he's going to be compared to Elvis in this way, let's make some Elvis type movie. And that's exactly what this is. His record label set up a movie company specifically to do this. SBK put out their own movie thing as a result of this, using his money and the money they were making off of Wilson Phillips. This ultimately is set up in such a way that then suddenly when you look at it as camp, some of the choices start to make sense. But there is an underlying bit in here. So there's the Elvis movies, but there's also Marlon Brando's 1953 film, The Wild One, where he plays a character who leads an outlaw biker gang. His name is Johnny, same as Vanilla Ice's character in this movie. And the object of his affection in the Marlon Brando film is a woman named Kathy. Same as in this one. So there was a direct by the screenwriter. Is a satire, parody, homage, and that's why I say you have to go to the camp side of it, because the choices.
Well, I mean, that's basically what defines a lot of bad movies. Is what the fuck is it? Is this supposed to do this? What is happening? Why are you making these choices? It doesn't really matter in the end because it was so bad. But viewing it as camp helped me power through some really particularly rough times. Because I got to play, I started to play a little game. We watch them twice so that we like, so we really are prepared.
Yeah.
The second time I played a little game called How Many Fucking Montages Are There in This Movie? I wrote them all down, and I want you guys to guess how many montages there were in this film.
All right. Are we distinguishing between montages and music videos?
If there is a bunch of silent shots of people with music on top, I counted it as a montage because they passed time, each of them. They were important to the passage of time.
Okay. Because I counted 4 music videos, but that includes the R&B one that they do. He doesn't actually
100% a montage.
That's a montage. I think we can agree on that one. So I'm going to say there are 6 montages. That is my guess of the number of montages. But guys, any guys want to make a over-under? Any guesses on that?
I'm going to guess like 43.
43. I love it. The whole thing's basically just a montage.
Price is Right rules. Okay, here we go. Dave, what do you think?
So somewhere between 6 and 43. Let's go with 9.
Okay. It's 8. You guys, it's 8.
Hey!
It's 8. Now,
come on down.
Hard pressed, even in the worst action movies, to find more than 2. This thing had 8 montages. One involved a pickle, peanut butter, mustard, sardine, pineapple sandwich
Yes.
made over the course of what are other people doing? They're dancing, they're riding in cars. This guy's making a sandwich. One person grabs a thing of salt, and it turns out the thing of salt, because of the perspective of the camera, was very large. I don't really know why that happened, but it happened.
Princess and the Crew. That was
right.
She discovered that.
The second was the most bizarre one by far, where the family moves in fast motion before sitting down to watch a television show. Never brought up again. We never see fast motion again. And he just they keep remixing him, folding the paper.
Michael Gross folding paper.
Like, whoa, he reads the paper. That's extreme.
It made me think of, I mean, the whole movie feels like weird commercials in a sense. Like, I mean, the guy who I looked it up, the guy who directed it is mostly known for commercials and Playboy.
Yes, and he married a Playboy playmate. 1976, April 1976.
That's he did all these Playboy videos and lots of commercials. But that weird family scene reminded me of I can't think of exactly
basically it looked like Nickelodeon for 2 minutes.
Yeah, like the Nickelodeon whatchamacallit, those weird type of fast edit, zany look crazy. They were hey, we got to put that in there. It seemed like everyone had an opportunity to get an idea in, and if you pitched it in time, they put it in.
Yeah, that's how their writers' room worked. It was all right, everybody got to turn in an idea. It wasn't finding the best idea. It was just all right, what's your idea? And then people pitched it and all right, that's a part. That's something that can happen. The montage guy. One guy just said montage every time.
Every time. He's like, well, you know what you could do here? I know we've got to get to the next day. You montage it.
Yeah.
Cut and print.
There's something about when you look at his experience prior to it, he did music videos for, En Vogue, Expose, Quincy Jones, David Crosby. He was not prepared for something like this. And then, of course, things like Playboy Wet and Wild and all the stuff that used to be on the Playboy channel, that kind of stuff got repackaged for home video as well. But this was what he was in. So when he's presented with this, it's there's a reason why this is only one of 2 feature films this director, David Kellogg, ever did. The other one being 1999's Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
Which I think we all at that point would have known better than to see that one by 1999.
Yeah, never caught it.
That puts us all in the college age zone, I think, release around there. I think we all can kind of safely say that was not something we were clamoring to see. Even though I loved Inspector Gadget, the cartoon, as a kid. But I think he was restricted he could not put anything truly racy into the film from his Playboy experience. He couldn't translate those skills into this because this is meant to be a film that was for families. The presence of the younger brother is the surrogate for the 9-year-old, 10-year-old who's going to go see this movie. Theoretically, they did not, but for those who would. And then the older sister is the love interest to get the kind of older teens enjoying it. But the truth is this man did not have a pool with which of skills to work with narratively. He just knew how to make music videos, which is why there are 4 music videos in this. Now, you said there were 8 montages you counted.
Yeah.
The 4 music videos take up, literally, they take up, of this 91-minute movie, 15 minutes are the music videos. So you're down to 75 minutes of movie, which includes the credits. And in that, and 8 montages in that.
It kind of felt like I want to say most of his lines are cut. He couldn't do a long scene. It was mostly just delivered, and then it's cut, and then so it felt like there's a lot of piecing of things together. And then it's funny that you brought it down to there wasn't much meat to the movie. The other thing that was so weird about it, which I guess is part of the montages, is it was really stretched out. It wasn't tight in any way. There's something strange about the sound design. It would just go with nothing, and then they'd randomly put in a funky, and
Yes.
like it would just go to something else. It
Those are
seemed,
montages.
it,
I counted them. I don't care.
it just seemed like whoever did the sound editing, that it was like the first time they'd done it. Like they
Sure.
didn't have any sense of pacing.
And you know what? You are correct. The editor, this was their first feature. This was their first the editor's first feature. As
I
as
can't
the lead
imagine
editor.
what they were handed beforehand.
Yeah, well, she was assistant editor on other things, but this was her first as a feature. I give more credit to the kind of the art director and the costume designer, and sort of like the production design. I give a lot of credit to those folks because they basically built this sort of like strange world, a Pee Wee Herman-esque house with wacky things happening, characters who are wearing clothes that reflect the exact type of person they're supposed to be. The jerky boyfriend is dressed like a jerky boyfriend, fucking members only shit. You've got Michael Gross dresses exactly like you think the dad from Family Ties is going to be dressed in for this. Vanilla Ice is wearing a lot of stussy backwards in the scene where he has the 8-ball shirt. That's actually him wearing that t-shirt backwards with these black and white striped shortalls. For the again, there's quite a bit of montage in that, but like that was something that he chose. Those are some choices that he made, but I think a lot of credit goes to the outfits and the design of this thing. People got to make a fun thing, and I do want to point out an interesting fun fact. Gary,
did you like this movie?
Oh, I am fascinated by this movie, but like is a different situation.
Okay,
so you have the costume designer Ingrid Ferren.
See, it starts with fascination.
There's 2 other films that she did after
problematic
this.
areas, like liking it.
There's 2 other films that this designer did after this of note. It helps this movie make more sense to me.
101 Dalmatians.
One is Batman Forever.
Oh yeah,
and the other is
wow,
Batman and Robin. So when you see how Vanilla Ice is dressed, how these other characters are dressed, it's like you can absolutely see Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. You can 100% see Jim Carrey as the Riddler. This was all in the mind of this person. Again, camp. The Schumacher movies are camp. So I think that I want to give a certain amount, even though there's a lot to shit on, and I think we're really going to get into it in a second. I want to give credit to the costume designer because I think they really, and the production people, I think they really did, working with this, what little material they had, they still built something that was meant to reflect something fun.
And unlike most movies of this caliber of bad, there was a plot, an advanced plot.
Advanced?
A pair of them. And it intertwined with another plot. Was it well done? Absolutely not. But 2 plots in one film?
An A and B plot in this film.
Yeah. That's wild. That's wild for a terrible movie. Usually there's just one plot.
What are the two plots that the
love story versus the versus the corrupt
shakedown.
cops
The shakedown.
Shaking them down, yeah.
The police informant.
If this is at all an indication of the system at work when you get witness protection, I'm never going to witness protection.
Yeah, there wasn't any substance to it, really.
Witness protection is one of those things, kind of like quicksand and stuff, that really is supposed to happen a lot more in life. According to all the media that actually
sure,
witness protection. I mean, half my friends must be witness protection if I'm one of the numbers.
100%.
Yeah. We have to know some people who are in it. But the craziest thing about that too is just like
they let him go on national TV.
No,
they were just
he chose to go on national TV, and he tried to cover his face with his fingers enough that maybe he wouldn't recognize. He's the dad from Family Ties. Of course we're going to recognize you. We know who you are, sir. You're Mallory's dad. So yeah, witness protection is bullshit. There are 2 plots in this. They do intertwine. Vanilla Ice gets mistaken for being connected with the corrupt cops.
There's nuance to this plot. There's not a lot of it, but there's a little bit of nuance to this plot.
He also has a fight scene, which I think maybe, Jeff, you described it as the slowest fight scene.
The slowest fight scene I've ever seen in my life. And I watched Rene Russo in a Lethal Weapon movie.
Ooh, that's pretty slow.
You know what I mean? They were just slow motion dancing together.
With the bikers, right? With the bike.
Yeah, it was like an ultra local wrestling match.
Outside the Sugar Shack?
Sugar Shack, baby.
Where is this place? What town is this? What state are we in? Where is this?
Yeah,
what planet are we on?
I would guess somewhere in LA, like a valley type place.
Huh.
I don't even
I
know.
was stumped. No accents, no
No.
tip-offs whatsoever. I mean,
Okay.
they picked the most like weirdly maudlin places to where you can't tell. Like they had shenanigans in construction zones.
Yeah.
There's no way to know where that is.
Yeah.
It could literally be anywhere.
Can I have the flip side of this question? Where were Ice and his crew from, and where were they going?
Yeah, I'm gonna consult the Blu-ray.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
It says Johnny is a freewheeling motorcycle riding musician who rolls into a small town with his band.
So wow. Okay. So we're actually, that music video at the beginning is a performance with his band.
that's what it was, yeah. And you know what? His friend
Hmm.
says he's talking to that other girl who I think is like some 80s model. There was Naomi
Yeah.
Campbell and then the blonde person.
The woman who played Monique.
Yeah, because he's
Monique,
like
who gets a bad
getting,
rap.
getting
Monique the
her
freak.
he's getting her phone number, and his bandmate says he said something like, "Hey, we already got paid and you over here talking to babes." Like
Let
we
me-
got paid. Why are you talking to girls?
I just want to jump in here and make sure that everyone knows that I am pro Monique.
Yeah.
I'm pro Nique.
So her name is Bobby Brown, and yes, she was a
Right.
model and actress, very much of that moment.
Yeah.
Her real name is Bobby Brown?
I don't know if it's her actual name.
Yeah.
It is at least her stage
Well,
name.
sure. The name she was going by.
Yeah, she was
Bobby
going by
Brown.
Bobby Brown. Yeah, which, that's quite a choice at that time to choose to be.
Most of my life, I've only ever heard of one Bobby Brown. Now we got three.
There are some extras. We're learning a lot. This is a learning episode.
Boy,
There's a lot happening.
I am pro Monique, and I think that she was treated poorly by those in conversation outside of her purview. That's all I'm going to say.
I guess
Can
I missed that part.
The guys were trying to get him out of the club in the beginning when she was
Right.
giving him the number. And then Kathy was obsessed with this Monique.
She found
Who is this?
the number on him from a
Wow.
time that he didn't even know she existed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and was
And
like,
was jealous.
was like, "Oh, Monique!" Like, yeah, Monique, dog. Monique the freak.
When the fuck did Vanilla Ice become Detective Columbo? When he listens to the cassette tape and identifies the sound of the construction site. When did this bonehead,
A construction site that was
Verifiable
abandoned at the time they were in it. So there's no way there was anybody working on it.
recognized a sound of a piston and said, "I know where they are"? Who can anybody explain to me how that suddenly becomes part of his character, his ability to identify construction noises?
I mean, I think you're asking too much for it to make sense.
I am.
Of course you are.
This is, again, we're looking at like 75 minutes of actual movie, which includes montages. So if you put those 8, we're probably looking at a tight 55.
Hmm.
And then, so if that's the case, then suddenly he is the leap to this. He is the thing that's going to help us discover where this kid is and save the day. But at this point, it's just gotten so far in. There's also these weird things that happen where he is, for lack of a better term, creepy, breaking into the house multiple times.
Yeah.
I don't know too many
including-
people that like woke up next to somebody they didn't invite into their house and was like, "Oh, it's you. Oh, exciting."
No, Jeff. No, Jeff. Not just woke up next to, but was fed an ice cube into their
Mhm.
mouth while they were sleeping.
You think
and
there was a
waking up.
vanilla ice cube?
It was an ice cube from Vanilla Ice, yes, that he puts into her mouth. And when she turns and sees that he's in her room, she is not completely horrified that this stranger has entered her bedroom and is putting things in her mouth.
The Davern family ties had a point. She was being cavalier about that stranger. I don't care how well it turned out.
Those parents were the worst parents I've ever seen in a movie.
No.
They were
Ever?
they completely blew past the 24-hour deadline to get the money together. Like they just ignored it.
Fair.
And then they're not
Fair.
keeping tabs on either of their children who are in fucking danger repeatedly. All they can do is chastise them. And then no wonder. And then the sister who went to go pick up her little brother from Little League, but he wasn't there. And now she knows that there are like bad dudes who are coming after them. She doesn't register. Maybe one of these bad dudes took my brother.
Or
She's
maybe
just too upset.
someone should have been at the soccer practice to watch the kid
Just go to fucking
in the
Little
middle of
League
a
and see it.
crisis. In the middle of a
Well,
crisis.
There are other adults around at soccer practice. You can't.
Fair.
It's just practice. It's not a game.
Practice. We're talking about practice?
What are we talking
Yeah.
about?
Practice.
What are we talking about here?
We're not talking about the game that they give their whole heart and soul to. This is practice.
What are we talking about? Talking about Vanilla Ice, not rap, which I love, which I gave my life for, I bleed for. Come on,
I think his whole approach was aggressive. Like he jumped the fence, knocked her off the horse. Like she should hate him, but she sees him again later and is sort of like charmed by him. And it's like, no, in reality, she'd be like, that guy almost killed me. Just this random stranger almost killed me, but she's just instantly wowed by him.
Suffice it to say, he tried it in a small town.
He did try it in a small town.
He was wilding for a small town life. He was wilding.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and we haven't even discussed the mechanics and how the guy's bike just randomly stops. They find some people who have, as you said, like a Pee Wee Herman house, and they take the bike apart completely, and then they spend like a week or so living with them, and they don't seem bothered by it. That's when they start making the sandwiches with the pickles and they're having a great time.
Yeah, that's actually I sadly have spent too much time thinking about that particular point. Roscoe and May's hospitality. That is another callback to The Wild One, the Marlon Brando movie. It is another example of how the bikers were compelled by, I think it was an injury of one of the people in their crew, to stay in town until someone recovered from an injury, and got into all sorts of antics and shenanigans and misdeeds as a result. So this is another direct thing from it. And this is where I think it's probably a good time to identify the writer of this film, because Vanilla Ice, he wrote those raps probably, but he did not write this movie. Very clear about that.
True.
This was written by a gentleman named David Sten, and longtime listeners of
Bang up job, Dave.
longtime listeners of this podcast will not be surprised to learn that this was Sten's first movie screenwriting credit, having previously written for TV shows like 21 Jump Street and Beverly Hills 90210. And when you think about it in the context of the absurdities that happened on those programs, this movie starts to make a bit more sense that this is like a version of that in terms of the choices that are made and the way people behave and the way characters do things that don't make sense, and convenient things happen that help us get to a happy resolution. This is somebody who learned to do this in, an hour-long TV format setup.
Dave, what's your favorite part of this movie?
Favorite?
Was that a 404 error I just saw? It's like, data not found.
Apple Pinwheel
It's not there. Yeah, exactly. Me?
There's this really crazy scene where all these words are going from the bottom to the top of the screen. Love that.
Oh, there's a lot of words in there. I think my favorite words in that, my favorite words are...
You're not going to steal this from me. You're going to do it, aren't you?
You want to do it? You could do it.
Well, there's two things I love about the credits. One says, additional mixing effects and design by Your Mother Makes Beats Incorporated. That's a credit in the movie. That's
true. Wow.
And then you can do the other big one. That's fine.
Oh, thank you. Please.
You I don't want
there is a line that says, "Be cool, stay in school." And only one of those words is spelled correctly. The B is the letter B, cool is with a K, stay is spelled correctly, in is spelled N, and school, SKOOL. Be cool, stay in school.
At the end of the
That's
credits,
cool.
right before they're like, thank you to the like whoever, the Toronto.
No
Film
animals
Society.
were hard. No
Yeah,
animals.
no
were hard to
animals.
make
And then they were like, that's it. Good night, everybody. It's
no, there's not a good night,
1991. See
everybody.
ya.
No, good night, everybody. No, then there's that one flash at the very end.
There's
Did
a
you guys watch?
flash of Vanilla Ice.
Did you watch
at
the
the
very
end.
end? Did you see the post-credit scene?
No.
You know, I thought with your love of the credits scene, Dave, that you would have gotten through the very
I
end of
didn't. I didn't realize this was part of the MCU.
it. There is. It takes about 3 seconds, and it is simply Vanilla Ice on the motorcycle with Kathy behind him doing the Richard Nixon double finger sign. I am not a crook move.
Correct.
It lasts 1.5 seconds and is done. That is the end of the film. There's no reveal. There's no Thanos. There's no Kang the Conqueror. It is simply Vanilla Ice doing a Richard Nixon impression.
He probably just loved it
movie
and was
sucked.
like, just put it in there somewhere.
We just hadn't had enough Vanilla Ice yet.
All right. The funny thing,
We had, and
like,
they had to give us one little, like, just give them one more taste, baby. And
It's
they'll
a
be
taste
back.
of, little
They'll be
taste of
back.
that ice cube, little ice cube in our mouths.
Just a little. There you
I
go.
feel like in like an alternate universe, he could be an entertainer. Like he could dance. I mean, I couldn't dance like that. Like he can dance, and he was kind of like he had little moments where he could have been funny. He's just so corny and like
yeah.
almost like unaware of himself. Like he doesn't really seem like he has a true self that
Nor
comes
does it seem
through.
like he wants to be there.
Yeah, there's just
Right?
something, but there were moments where I was like, if all of the stuff leading up to it, like he could have maybe been funny in some capacity, or the dancing. There was something where it's like, this guy's not like the absolute worst at like every possible thing.
Do you
You
think the
love
like?
Vanilla Ice. You still love it. That's what it
It's
is.
true.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's
I
real.
think I was
You
just
watched the
trying.
movie and
I
you
was
said to
trying to
yourself, I
find.
really like
That
it.
might be
I
real.
was trying to find something redeeming in the movie, because I did, like I said, I went into it thinking like, oh, maybe this will like be kind of fun to watch, and it felt more like a chore. Like 20 minutes into it, it was like, oh, this is gonna be tough. And it never got like a smooth pace or anything. It was clunking along.
At one point, there's a montage in a construction site, one I called Construction Madness, let's call it.
Okay, sure. Why not?
Because they had as much fun as you could have at a construction site together with a stranger. Just what a delight it seemed like.
Yeah.
Then they spoke to each other for what could have been a minute, I guess. It's possible they made it to 60 seconds. I don't think they did.
No.
And then they smash cut to another montage,
which is the next music video, the
R&B music video of them sort of falling in love and him frolicking and him delivering what has to be described as the worst love song rap I've ever heard. That song is an unmitigated disaster. Sound, delivery, words, all of it was just truly atrocious.
Vanilla Ice actually kind of in a recent interview, I think 2021, with Yahoo Entertainment, sort of disowned that song particularly.
King's Yahoo Entertainment.
Basically to say that it was sort of like, well, this is what the person at the label wanted a song like this from him, because it would be right for this scene and this type of thing in the film. And so he felt like he'd kind of been compelled into doing that, but that was not his style or his approach. And you can hear it on the track.
That doesn't change the fact that it sucks and I had to hear it.
You did have to hear it.
But twice, true. 2 times I had to hear it.
It does show up in the credits again, doesn't it?
4 times I had to hear him do that like weird cover that the band at the Sugar Shack was playing. Thank you for letting me, like, where they just took that beautiful song and that beautiful riff and absolutely mangled it 2 different times in the film, and then gave it to us in the credits too.
Yeah, I mean, look, we this movie is a giver, that's for sure. It gives and gives. I want to point out something, just because you mentioned that you saw him sort of like as he could be an entertainer, and I want to put just some highlights of the things that happened after this film, kind of get us to the present.
He was an entertainer. That's all he's got to claim to.
He
That's all he
has,
could say.
Yeah.
he has continued down that path.
He has.
I want to point out how he finished 1991. He appeared on Circus of the Stars and Sideshow. If you guys remember that TV,
What
Circus
did he
of the
do?
Stars.
No.
He drove his motorcycle
motorcycle.
through a wall of fire.
Okay.
Nice.
Sick.
He tried a few different things musically in the intervening years, including going Rasta. He basically said he sort of identified with the Rasta lifestyle and had dreadlocks.
He should have called himself Evil Van Winkle. That would have been a good turn for him.
He could have. He then tried the
Vanilla
new metal
Winkle.
route. He did the new metal route. He did put out a new metal record. I think he actually worked with Ross Robinson.
Has any of us ever heard that thing?
Yes, because we're friends with a certain person who is a new metal genius. I have listened to it.
This guy
and
has.
so have you. And so we've all heard. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there is a new metal version of Ice Ice Baby, a rap metal version of that song.
Didn't know.
I think I've heard that, but probably in like a
How good is it?
clip show.
It's more of a collaboration than the original. I could say that. They did stop collaborate, and I listened.
Is it like the Alienette from Smooth Criminal type?
It's more like a Limp Bizkit sort of approach, like a little shoutier.
He was a shouter in that band.
Yeah.
He shouted a lot, and it's not very becoming.
He then started doing things like moving sort of into the TV realm. He did celebrity boxing. I don't know if you remember celebrity boxing.
I remember this. I saw this.
He boxed. He boxed Todd Bridges from Different Strokes.
Yeah, I remember.
That was a demons fight.
Who won?
Nobody.
I don't think anybody really won. If we really think about it.
I remember it being a thing where Bridges was just like relentless.
Yeah, Bridges.
I'd have to go back and watch it again. It was a long time ago.
He was hungrier at that time.
I hope Bridges won. He'd
Real.
He'd been disgraced longer.
Vanilla Ice also did a half dozen episodes of Hollywood Squares.
It was still on at that point.
He prominently features as one of the cast
it's
members.
Like 95 or something. Where are we?
They've had they had reboots of it. I'm talking. This is over the years. This is now we're getting into
the reboot.
Right, cool.
So we move into the 2000s and we get the Surreal Life. I don't know if you remember the reality TV show where they put a bunch of random C-listers into a house. He was on season 2 of the Surreal Life. Do you remember any people he was in the house with?
Not even season 1. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Man, you'd be hard pressed to find me watching that back in the day.
Wasn't he Vern Troyer?
No, he's not on that season, but that's a very good guess.
That's a very excellent guess.
So it's a very good guess.
I know he was on that.
Yes, I watched
Kathy Griffin in there.
I know. I watched that. Janice
Dickinson.
Not that season, but another very good guess. Excellent guess.
These are good guesses.
I will give you 3 of his fellow housemates on the Surreal Life season 2.
Anything to not talk about the movie anymore. Anything. We don't want to part company just yet.
Ron Jeremy. Eric Estrada.
Oh wow.
And Tammy Faye Baker.
Oh
wow.
Man.
What a house.
Tammy Faye Baker?
Was she religious? She was religious, right?
She was a religious grifter.
And then was on this show.
High celebrity status, like
I mean, they were all
TV preacher wife.
Yeah.
Musical grifter, sexual grifter, religious grifter. None of these people earned.
United under one
united
roof.
Front.
The Surreal Life season 2. I'm sure I'm sure that's on DVD somewhere.
Better be Blu-ray or it's not in the tontine.
Yeah.
It's got to be top quality or it's no deal.
The last thing I want to point out about the kind of where we get to Vanilla Ice since then, obviously he parlayed his reality appearances into a series of shows and spinoffs and things where he does kind of real estate work, which became like his main main gig was contracting. So he's actually had some success sort of in that, in that world of television. But he didn't stop doing movies altogether. There was about, it was more than a decade before he would be in another movie. I should point that out. He had a cameo in 2002's The New Guy, which starred DJ Qualls, you might recall, sort of a National Lampoon type thing. Then
no, I don't recall that. Sorry.
We'll have to do that on Bad Movie Battle Part 2. But
don't do this to me.
In the 2010s, he had roles in Insane Clown Posse's Big Money Rustlers.
We got to see that.
That's the Western Insane Clown Posse movie. Insane Clown Posse movie.
I think I started to watch that once, and literally like 2 minutes in, I was like, "What am I doing? No one is watching me. I can do whatever I want, and this is what I've chosen." And I turned it off.
He's also in a number of Adam Sandler Happy Madison films, including there's multiple. He plays himself in That's My Boy. He's in The Ridiculous Six, which was, I think, Sandler's first Netflix movie, where he plays.
Happy Madison is the company. Okay.
Happy Madison.
Oh my
company,
God.
Yeah.
I was like, there's Happy Gilmore like sequels I don't know about.
No, they basically combined those two, and that's the name of the production company.
Yeah. Billy Madison.
So all those Adam Sandler, David Spade, Kevin James things, all those kind of movies kind of through under that umbrella.
How much does this please or displease you? That's like your favorite series of movies of all time.
Do you know
to
who
realize that they're employing this act?
Jeff, do you know who he plays in The Ridiculous Six?
Obviously not.
He plays Mark Twain. Vanilla Ice plays Mark Twain.
I hate everything.
Vanilla Ice plays Mark Twain.
Yeah. He's also in a couple other
what are we doing?
Two others of these. And then he's got a movie coming out this year. You can see him starring at some point this year in a movie 2023. And the movie is called Zombie Plane, where he is in it, and I think he is opposite an Australian music competition winner who is doing some acting as well. So where is that coming? It hasn't come yet, but it is. I'm sure it'll be on digital soon enough.
Yeah.
The disbelief. So he has continued to have a career in entertainment, maybe not as high of heights as he had in 1990, and then for a brief period of time in 1991 before this movie came out. But he has continued to entertain.
It's pretty amazing. So like basically one song, we could all agree one song kind of hit bigger than, so one song has given him so many platforms. He did Rasta. He did the rap rock thing.
Yep.
He's done reality TV.
Yeah.
Actual other films. We could all only be so lucky to keep getting all the gigs. Like he's got something. Why do I don't know. Is it all
bad penny syndrome, man?
Like people, it's like it's funny to put him in something. Is that what it is?
I think that might be.
I don't know. That's not funny to me. But I guess people laugh about it. But it makes sense that it took from what, like 1991 to when was it? 99, 2000 before white people were allowed to rap again because of
correct.
That?
Yeah. There's actually interviews with Eminem. There's interviews with Eminem where he said basically like Vanilla Ice like set me back as someone who was white who wanted to be a rapper.
I think he did okay.
Ultimately, sure. Obviously,
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but
delay though. That's a good 10 years. I mean,
Oh no, he wasn't a millionaire by like 13. Damn.
Eminem was doing some quality rapping before My Name Is.
Sound bombing appearance is still one of the best things. Yeah, no question.
And like it was just like nobody we refused to even. It was like no way until Dr. Dre was like, "Hey guys, this guy's with me," and then it was like, "All right."
You needed to be backed by somebody credible. It couldn't just be some record label saying, no, this one's good. No, obviously now it's a free for all, but it was at that time. Yes, it did set back that aspect, which of course I think we can all say is probably, given the rap music we did end up getting in the 1990s, not the worst thing.
Yeah.
Not the worst thing to let some other artists have some success in that period that were not Vanilla Ice.
Right. He's still eating off of a mediocre song from 1990. I mean, it's a lot worse than I thought it was, but I did be slow.
I think he may have lost all of the rights to that song from the sample, and then whatever that weird Suge Knight thing where he was held upside down off the balcony. I'm pretty sure
that was Vanilla Ice that got held upside down off the balcony.
Yes, sir.
Suge Knight. Suge Knight.
I think something like I don't know for sure, but I feel like he lost most of the income off of the song.
I think he had to sign over some level of his. He'd been coerced, let's say, into signing over some rights, and apparently that was money that Death Row did use towards its own means as a result. Which, again, I mean, like, if you want to talk about reparations, I mean, not the worst situation in terms of that. You know,
yeah, but now Suge Knight's in jail, and Vanilla Ice got another movie coming out. So
exactly, yeah. But no, I think actually you're bringing up an interesting point, Dave, because I think the idea is we've just got through this, like we're recording this like a few days after the big date, the August 11th, 50th anniversary of hip hop, the DJ Cohort Party, and a lot of these artists who are coming up both in terms of appearing at these events or being interviewed about it in various media platforms. There's a lot of people who haven't had careers in music after this. A lot of, Black and Latino artists in particular who have not had careers. And we've just talked through, I didn't even talk about everything, but I gave a highlight reel of a man who, while he was clowns, continued to be given opportunities. Even they may not have been the most glamorous of opportunities. Reality TV was not, the
People
most glamorous.
Would kill to be in Sandler stuff.
But now it's
you're immediately in canon if you end up in Sandler stuff.
You're in 4 Adam Sandler movies, not his best movies, but in 4 of them.
4.
I mean, think about that. We're doing this whole season we've been doing has been movies where rappers are either in front of or behind the camera. And Vanilla Ice may have among the highest number of credits in front of the camera when you factor in television.
Not to mention
other than like film, Ice Cube or Ice-T or
this film is the most of a rapper that we've seen on screen for any of these films. This was all Ice. Like, very rarely was there like, the mother and the father and the daughter have like a 30-second conversation to wrap up 40 years of brutal suppressed history. Don't give them 35 seconds. We got to get back to the fucking matter at hand, which is
where's
Vanilla
Poochie
Ice dancing. Exactly. They where's Poochie it, and he's like in a montage dancing in front of a mechanic's house because, like, don't forget, this movie's not about this like semi-interesting subplot that is like deep and weird.
Yeah, it's not about that.
No, they kidnap a child. A child is kidnapped. It's just like, oh man, what's Vanilla Ice gonna do to solve this kidnapping?
Detective fucking Columbo.
He becomes a detective and a super cop. He like ties them to the hood of the car loosely and drives them through downtown to where the cops are.
Yes,
because they just know.
Yeah, and they didn't even seem that mad about it.
No,
they were just kind of going along. Yeah, they took it very well.
They took it pretty well.
You add some explosions, and this is the next Fast and Furious movie,
basically.
And I love those films.
You do love those movies.
This one, it's funny you say that because this plays almost like that type. Well, not like that type of movie, but like if you watch a horror movie clip minus the music, it feels. This movie feels like that. Like it's missing elements. Like it just plays so weird and slow. And then transition, I guess it was the montages. It just transitions like they didn't know what to do. So they had to glue it together with something.
Well, okay, the epilogue to the film, and then we're probably got to cut it, right?
We got to have to stop.
We got to get out of here.
We're abusing ourselves at this point.
The beginning and the end of the movie, like the epilogue of this film is them becoming successful as performers because they have a bigger crowd now.
Yeah.
And like he's
The closing
rapping
music
about
video.
basically what has happened in the film. He does like a recap, which
Yes.
normally would just be a song
Like
under
Black Thought?
credits.
What's that?
Like Black Thought does for movie soundtracks. I don't know. You remember that song?
Right,
That
yes.
man was just like a
Or
recap
like Will
movie.
Smith does.
For the Hurricane, he did that song for the Hurricane movie. It's just like
Yeah.
that common. I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
No, I'm with you. I know it's a thing. It's a thing, and like a lot of 80s movies have it where like all the way up to Fletch, there would be songs about the film used in the film's context.
Yeah.
And it was really a bizarre thing.
My favorite version of that is when they do it in the opening credits of a film and they basically tell you the entire story in song.
Yes.
Those are awesome. Those are awesome.
Oh man, they're part of the plot. Like everybody's in on the gag.
You know who did a much better job of this whole thing was Bobby Brown with the Ghostbusters shit. Like the song he did for that Ghostbusters movie, and he's talking about the Master of Evil. Like he tells us everything that's happening, and I love it. I still listen to that and dance along to this day. And that's what Vanilla Ice wanted to do. He didn't pull it off.
He didn't.
Well, there's he did pull
and
it
Bobby
off.
Brown got a bigger stage, less of Bobby Brown in it, but he got a bigger stage.
I'll tell you this: I probably remember most of the words to Bobby Brown's "Take Control," and I know none of the words to any of the songs performed by Vanilla Ice in this movie.
Yeah.
Nor will I ever hear them again. I hope,
God willing.
One other.
I listened to the full Bobby Brown album too.
Yeah,
more than once.
Oh, many times. Yes.
There were all these scenes of the DJ scratching. Like there don't quote me. I don't think there's a single scratch in any of the songs.
No.
I mean there were, but not in conjunction to the visual.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
He was aggressively scratching in songs that had no scratch related element to it.
There are more credible scratches in Ninja Rap. Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
Oh, that was before.
One more thing about that Ninja Rap. Like that Venom movie, the first Venom movie, which I hated, and then they were like coming out with a second one. I'm like, I doubt I want to see this. And I was watching the trailer, and there was like a scene of Venom rapping with neon on him, and I'm like, this is Ninja Rap again. And I've never seen it, so I don't know how much it holds true, but wow.
It's a lot to unpack. Any final words on Cool as Ice from our guests?
Yes.
From our guests, sir.
Okay, this is short. I do have a note that says, "These fish need some rocks and a castle, girl. Damn." I did write that down.
Okay.
It was weird to just see a fucking bowl full of fish with nothing to do. Get them a little castle. What the fuck?
I agree with that. You know what? I want to go back and change my answer. That's my favorite part of the movie because I agree with that. Some people got real little small ass fish. You gotta give these fish something else, man.
What the fuck? They're like, how have they not started attacking one another?
Yeah. So that movie did hold some truth there because people keep their fish in way too small containers, and I like to think that Vanilla Ice, that's what he was fighting against.
I hope so.
Jeff, there are so many fun facts and interesting tidbits about this movie, Cool as Ice, that this movie doesn't warrant, but it's absolutely worth raising. Did you know that this movie features original music composed by Stanley Clarke?
Yeah.
Jazz fusion legend from Return to Forever. That same year, he also composed for two other movies, Boys in the Hood and The Five Heartbeats.
So he did a complete reversal.
Yes.
He did Cool as Ice and then did Boys in the Hood.
So he did Boys in the Hood first. Boys in the Hood came out earlier that year. I want to clarify. Boys in the Hood came out earlier that year. Five Heartbeats came out, I think, right after that. And then Vanilla Ice's Cool as Ice is the third of these.
Complete reversal.
Did you know that Janusz Kaminski, the director of photography in this film, just a few years after Cool as Ice, went on to become Steven Spielberg's go-to director of photography, beginning with Schindler's List and continuing through The Fabelmans.
I mean, if you throw together a whole bunch of first timers who are looking to get into doing things for film, you know, one or two of them are gonna strike and get like real jobs. The rest of them aren't. Got it.
Did you know who was considered for the part of Kathy? Gwyneth Paltrow.
I didn't get that far. Gwyneth Paltrow
was offered $80,000 to take the role until her father advised her against it after having looked at the script.
Yo, pops to the rescue, huh?
Yeah. So this is Bruce Paltrow. This is before she had done any movies. She had not done one yet. She was like working at
Gary.
She was a hostess at an airport. It goes on. There's so much we can discuss in this. Somebody who was offered the role but turned it down of Kathy, Lisa Marie Presley, was offered this.
Yeah,
role.
Sure, that tracks.
Two people on this movie, Kristen Minter, the love interest Kathy, and Deezer D, who plays Jazz. Both of those actors went on to have lengthy runs on the TV show ER.
Gary, I have an important question I need to ask you before we continue.
So Kristen Minter did about 71 episodes.
I hear you. I knew that actually. I saw him and I was like, oh, it's the guy from ER.
Deezer D had 190 episodes. He was on that show for 15 years.
Malik, he was very good.
Yeah.
Listen, I want you to think about this and answer carefully. Do you want to watch Cool as Ice again? Is that where you're leading this?
No, this was terrible. This was a horrible film. But I have just spent so much time
I think it's an important distinction to make, because we started this episode with the idea that these people shouldn't, and you're making it impossible not to watch it again. You keep hitting people with sales hits.
No, I want people to understand.
This is an elevator pitch for watching the movie.
I am saving their time. No one has to do any research about this movie.
I don't think they were
look up any
Gary.
fun facts. I've given you all of it. This is basically, I just did a dump
I don't
of
think anyone was going to watch this and be like, I'm going to go on a long, strange journey and write down what I find like you did.
I will email anybody who wants it. I do not enjoy this film. It's a film that
say that. I think you have to say that because it would be uncool to say otherwise. But I can't prove that. So we'll leave it at you don't like the movie, which I
don't care for.
Not sure I agree with.
There's a lot of things that we could have watched instead, but we've been promising it for quite some time, and we've delivered. We've done what we said. Now I wish we
drug it on forever.
It's done.
Cool as ice.
Cool as ice.
It's the Cabbages Podcast Network.